Welcome to our live talk at Indo-German Films. A warm welcome to Guneet Monga, most influential woman in the media business of India and owner of the production company Sikya Entertainment. Hi, Guneet.
Hi, Stefan. Hi, Raman. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, definitely. And also a warm welcome to Raman Deep Jaswal, my co-host from Radio Abner Frankfurt, Germany's first Bollywood radio based out of Frankfurt. Hi, Raman.
Hi, Stefan. Thank you for making me part of this talk here today. And hi, Guneet. Thank you for taking all the time for us.
Very happy to.
Thank you.
Yeah, please, Raman, please start with your first question.
All right. So let's start with a little bit of background, Guneet.
Yes.
So Guneet Monga, an Indian film producer, an Academy Award winner, a BAFTA nominee, founder of Sikya Entertainment, a film production house that has produced notable films like Gangs of Wasseypur, Peddler, The Lunchbox, Masaan, and Zuban. I think some big names in there, right? You grew up in Delhi, received a primary education at Bluebells International School, and received a degree in mass communication in Delhi in year 2004. And now, well, you have been voted as one of the top 12 achievers in the global entertainment industry by the Hollywood Reporter, and also among the top 50 Indian changing India by India Today. So, I mean, thinking or looking back at the journey from where you started, how does it feel to you when you are reminded of all these facts that I talked about?
It feels fulfilling. I have been somebody who's not, been able to accept accolades very easily. I mean, there has always been self-doubt. There has always been thought process like maybe I'm not good enough. But I have worked a lot on learning to accept compliments. So now I feel like, okay, fine, thank you. So I have, it feels good. It feels meaningful. It feels fulfilling.
Nice. So, I mean, for all the hard work that you have done all these years, do you think does it do justice to all that hard work that has gone into this?
Yeah, I mean, I think I love what I do. So I think it's a gift that you can wake up every day and fall in love with your profession, with the stories you want to tell. And so it doesn't really feel like um, something which I have gone out of my way. It feels like I'm getting better at my craft, and it's a journey of learning. So I feel good about being good at my craft because that's what is what I'd like to be
Yeah.
known for. Yeah.
Yes. I think it's also when you love what you do, it is not work anymore. I mean, it's you. It becomes a part of you, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's like day to day living, eating, breathing, producing films, and looking at scripts and looking at structures and financing, and it's the everyday work.
Yeah. Very nice. Now, I mean, I read a little bit about you on internet here and there, and I understand that you wanted to grow up to do a lot of things. You
Yeah,
wanted to be a DJ. You
yeah,
were a car rally enthusiast. And
yeah,
well, I don't know how many people know, but you have also worked as an insurance agent at Tata AIG.
yeah.
And now you are a film producer. I mean, there is a big difference between what you wanted to be and what you are. How did it happen, basically?
So I come from a super humble family. My parents and I used to stay in a house and pay rent for $100 a month, and in Delhi. So I come from a really really humble background, and I think doing all kinds of odd jobs was a matter of making more money, and in a way of being an hustler. I wanted to buy my parents a house. So being a really young DJ as a 16, 17-year-old, as a woman DJ in Delhi, gave me a lot of money in on the weekends. So I did that. My dad thought that being an insurance agent will be consistent money for his daughter. So he made me go to an insurance school, and I became an insurance agent because he thought he could convince his friends to, and I would get the commission of them, and this will be my recurring income lifelong. So it was my dad's grand plan, and I, from selling cheese on streets of Bombay to setting up canopies and tents and being like a telemarketing person, or one of my most fun jobs was a laughing cow cheese contest that the brand had partnered with PVR Cinemas, and I remember Makdi, the film had released, and they had done a look under the seat contest, and I was the anchor. So I used to go up to the recording room, and right before the film started, I would be like, "Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you," and this is like voice of God coming in the cinema, and I'd be like, "Look under your seat," because I had hidden some like 10-20 boxes under the seats, and some people who got it, I could always see it from the top, were jumping, so being an anchor for some huge shows, I wanted to be an RJ. So I think just hustled. I've edited, I have worked through my college. So just worked, and I think I was deeply passionate about buying my parents a house. So yeah.
So that was the motivation behind it. I mean, listening to all this, it already shows, I mean, how much hard work you have put in. And this is also somewhere important for viewers and listeners to understand that reaching there is not like it happens overnight. It's a lot of steps that you have to go through. And congratulations. I mean, you have made it. So congratulations from our side on that.
Thank you. I actually feel like I have learned the craft, and I feel like I'm just getting started. I know this may sound like, oh my God, you've done so much. I feel like it's, I feel I've learned a lot in the last decade, and I do feel like at Sikya, we are all a very young team, and somewhere I do feel like we just got started.
Yeah, we'll come to the Sikya part afterwards, but for the moment, I give back to Stefan.
Yeah, I would like to switch to the film business now. So Guneet, you have produced one film which is also very well known in Germany. Many people liked it over here in Germany. It's Lunchbox. And I don't know if I read it or you told in some conversation. So I don't know how I got this information. But I learned to know that you have borrowed money, I think, from your grandmother's house or something like that. So, and in my own understanding, I have been a film school graduate from Munich Film School. And one of the biggest warnings of our professors was never put your own money in film production. Yeah? So can you tell us a little bit more about it? So you took the risk and it made boom. Lunchbox was, I think, sold in 30 countries or more than 30, 40, 50 countries all over the world. So can you tell us a little about that journey? So, and if it's true that you borrowed money from your grandmother?
No, I don't know where the grandmother story comes from. I actually was able to build a house for my parents, but I lost them before we could move into that property. So I was around 24 when I lost them, and I was super disillusioned about this whole concept of owning a house. And I moved to Bombay lock, stock, barrel when I was 24. And I had, over the next couple of years, I sold the house. And I had some capital with me, which was, hard-earned money of me and my dad. And this is all I wanted to do. And I did invest all of it in Monsoon Shootout, not in Lunchbox. I invested all of it in Monsoon Shootout, and it was not a mortgage or a borrow. It was like selling the property and putting everything there. It is a combination of many things. I really loved the script. I love Amit, and it was total faith in the project. And it was also super disillusionment with this house money and also being super young. Over the years, I have learned to tell myself that this is money that I have paid for like a higher education. This is my money that was to maybe go to a Harvard or a USC or a UCLA and, get like a degree, which I never managed to get. So this is my money that I paid for that. So, so I was able to, there was a huge depression, and the film was getting funded by BFI, Monsoon Shootout. And as the economic depression happened and BFI was unable to put up the money, and we'd gone so far in putting together the movie schedule, I decided to put all the money that I'd acquired recently from selling my house in Delhi So I think it's also because years of growing up with one obsession of buying a house, and that was for my parents, and being the only child, losing them just left me a bit, not bit, very disillusioned about this chunk of money. And then I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do with it, So that's what I did with it. For Lunchbox, we were financed through Germany, through our co-production treaty with France and Germany. And it was Median Board backing it from Germany. And that film really has been like an inflection point, I would say, in many careers. It really was received extremely well. It was written and directed really well by Ritesh. Our co-production partners helped it to really expand the boundaries of the film. So I feel like it is really, it was a great independent movie journey. It is one of those dream runs that you have in your career. Lunchbox and Monsoon Shootout were both in Cannes in 2013, and Lunchbox really grew multifold and was sold by Match Factory, was represented by Match Factory, and my partners Kirsten and Benny from Germany, who we met at the Berlane at the Berlin Film Festival co-production market. So it was really it's been a lot of amazing. I met a lot of amazing people. We managed to pull off a good film, and it was really overwhelming for it to do this, to be accepted this well globally. We till date get a lot of love for it, and yes, it did well. It really only just proves the money I spent on my education came handy. So yeah, that's the whole story.
Yeah. Okay, it sounds really exciting. And Monsoon Shootout has been also at Indo German Film Week and our festival, and I liked it. We invited the director, and we had a lot of fun. This was yeah, it's really it's an extraordinary script and an extraordinary direction and movie production. It's really a great film. I have another question coming to an ad film, which you just recently posted on LinkedIn. I think it's going on the TV in India, I guess. The film is called Go Beyond Boundaries. Beyond Boundaries. And you're the main protagonist in that, and you act as yourself, as Guneet Monga, as a producer of Sikya Entertainment. Can you tell us a little more about this? So first of all, what is it about, and how has you been approached to that film?
So this is for me first time to be in front of camera in the lead role, and it does seem like a larger than life moment, and it really is. It's been accepted really well. So I partnered with Oppo Mobile, Oppo Pro Reno 4, and Oppo Reno 4 Pro, and it is the launch of Oppo's recent mobile. And the whole campaign's idea was to sense infinite, to go beyond boundaries and sense infinite. And they chose me to headline the campaign and lead the campaign, explaining a journey of finding a story and taking it and putting it on the world map. So I really, really loved the script, and I've had a great conversation with everybody at Oppo team, and it was them reaching out to me. They chose me to lead the launch the campaign, and that came out a week ago, and it's done really well. And the film is beautiful. It's directed by Lloyd and Pia. It is shot by Jay Oza, and it is the agency is it's written by Arijit from FCP Ulka. So it was like a combination of amazing people coming together. And the beauty of it is that we shot it in middle of all the lockdowns, in middle of pandemic. I also had a bit of a taste of how shootings are right now during these crazy times that we are living in. I'd almost forgotten being at home for now 4 or 5 months on how it is going back on set. And, who would have thought I would go back on set as an actor? So
No, but
It's surreal.
no, it was very well done. Not only your work as an actress, but also the idea itself. So
You're being kind. Thank
I
you.
also have seen it as an encouragement for women, or did I get it wrong?
Yes.
Yeah. So because maybe we
Yes.
can tell
No,
that.
absolutely. And I wrote that, as I saw the whole film, I got goosebumps and I had tears in my eyes looking at film. And when I was posting it, and I said, this is for every girl who dreams. This is for every little girl who has a dream. I've had a journey so far. I know where I come from, and I know from the humble background that I come from to be a producer, which is seen as somebody that you would have a lot of capital, you would have a lot of connections. So I think my network has been people I've met outside India who have championed and valued my work. And now it is, films that have done well outside India and in India. So it's been a decade long of a work, and it really is for every girl out there who dreams, because everything is possible.
Yeah, I think we should post a link of the video. So if you can send that later after the talk, it would be nice for our audience so that they can watch it. I loved it a lot, this spot, and
Thank you.
and then
The team
that fits so well, because it's what we are talking about now. Your story, you made it, and
Yeah.
you encourage a young girl, go beyond boundaries. Don't hesitate. Don't
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, Rama.
Absolutely. Being
No, okay, good. Yeah.
being
Yeah.
being at the kind of being putting independent films and taking independent films to a larger audience, it is going beyond boundaries. And I think it's all about the effort. You can never be sure of the result or any award or any festival selection. You have to just keep trying, putting one piece of content, with your best intent, and over a period of time building people who can mentor you in the process, or mentor the content in the process. So I feel fortunate about having built a network of people who see the rough cuts and give us feedback and help us make it better.
Oh, very nice.
Hey,
Well,
Rama.
taking it further from here. I think let's go a little bit back. Year 2007, your first film, Say Salam India. Well, if I have read it correctly, for this movie, you had actually borrowed money from your neighbor to make.
It was an investment. It was not borrowing. He had
It was an
invested in it. He was my financier.
he was an investor into this. Okay.
Yeah. It's not
So I
like a
mean,
loan.
yeah. 2007, your first movie, Say Salam India. It was a movie which was based on children's cricket team,
Yes.
which was released on the day India made a disgraceful exit from the World Cup.
Yeah.
And if I got it correctly, all the programming heads of every cinema refused to screen the film.
Yes. So what happened was that it kind of released at the same week, and prints were out at that point of time. There used to be those big 7 prints, in cans, and the prints were out, and it released on a Friday, and our studio was Ad Labs, and everybody at the studio told us that India is not going to lose, given that 5 years ago India was in the finals with Australia. So it's a really strong team, and it does not come out of the elementary round. This was the elementary round that it came.
Yeah.
It would definitely go to the quarterfinals or semifinals and go further. So there were 3 matches in the elementary qualifiers in the elementary round, and India lost the first one, won the second one, and third one was the deciding match, which was the same week as my small children cricket film was releasing. And India lost, to everyone's surprise. There were people who died from heart attack when that happened in India. So it really is like emotions very high. And of course, all the cinema guys were like, please, our screens will get burnt in rage if we put anything cricket. Give older films back, but don't put cricket films out there. And so technically the film released, but we never really got shows, and they were being cancelled because people would not show up. Nobody wanted to talk about cricket, and that led to my investor losing the money, and he was my neighbor, and I was like, holy shit, I really, it was the first investment, and I have to look him in the eyes and say that, you made a good investment. Basically, you trusted me, but this was larger than life. This was not my fault, But we managed to turn it around, and we were able to. What I did from there, it was a lot of helplessness, but also very thinking on the feet, very spontaneously. I was able to go to my school, Bluebells, and I said, how many kids do we have? We had around 2,000 kids. But like, would it be possible if I book a single screen and we do a show there? So every kid gives me $1 each. And I booked the cinema hall for morning 9 to 12 show for $1,000. It was 1,000-seater. I booked it for $200 with the guy, and I sold the show for $1,000. And each show I made around $800. And then I went to my college and got interns to help me open up more schools and more single screens, 1,000-seater single screens. And I did around 250, 300 plus shows and made all the money back. And then I was able to sell the interval to a brand for another, I think, $200 to two separate brands, $200 each. And that's how, I was able to put up a whole business plan of making the money back. It is very cottage industry. I had no idea how to pay any government taxes. It was all, I just made it work. And those times were simpler times. And I was just happy that I was able to return all the money to somebody who invested in my dream and allowed me to make a film when I was 21. And this whole venture of mine of booking shows and booking schools took 9 months of my life, but it was totally worth it. One of the best lessons.
Yeah. And I mean, it shows your never giving up attitude there, right? I mean, if you have a product that is ready and it's a good product, you kind of created a market for it. Yeah, you found a market for it. You went there, you sold it. I mean, amazing. I read about it, and I wanted that we talk about it on this interview because it's inspiring somewhere as well. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs out there, a lot of people who are creating products. And so this never give up kind of attitude. I really loved it when I read about it. Now, I mean, moving on to coming how things are today. I mean, you are called the game changer producer in Bollywood with so many amazing films that you have done. I mean, you have won an Oscar as well. So would you like to tell us about your experience with the movie behind the Oscar winning film?
So, I personally haven't won the Oscar. My director, Raika, and the producer on the film, Melissa, won the Oscar personally. And I always like to correct this. But yes, I have been a part of putting together a movie that won the Oscar. So Sikya has produced it, and I'm an executive producer on the film. And it was been just overwhelming. So it really started with young girls in Oakwood School in LA who decided that they wanted to do something about, they saw a news story that girls in India drop out from school because of menstruation, and they wanted to do something about it. And that led to, over the years, connecting them to an NGO in Delhi called Action India. And Action India was working in Hapur, in areas near Delhi, for menstruation hygiene for like 2 decades, for several decades, and especially in Hapur. And so the girls in LA, 12 to 14-year-old girls, connected with this NGO, and that's how they were introduced to the village in Hapur. And this also took like a couple of years. During this time, I had no idea about this film. In 2016, I was in LA working on Vetri Maran's Visarnai campaign, because it was India's entry to the Oscars. And that's when one of my mentors, Stacey Sher, who's an incredible producer, said that her daughter and her friends are putting together a project in India and they'd like to talk to me about it. I went to their school and I met all of them, and it was just amazing to hear these young girls, young leaders of the world, now I would call them as, being so ambitious and saying that we want to make a movie in India. And how did that start was because when they got in touch with Action India, they found out that they were trying to bootstrap a pad machine, and they were able to donate one pad machine with yogathons and bake sales and over a period of time. But they were like, how do we do more? One doesn't really create a change or create a conversation. So they decided to make a movie. They then hired a USC grad, Raika Zatapshi, who's incredible. And Raika and her partner, Sam, um, decided and said yes to come to India and shoot the film. And that's when they really needed a producer in India, and that's where I popped up in their lives. And I was just so happy to meet them. And I was like, okay, I'll help you make it. Don't worry about how you will shoot in India or what the logistics will be. And I brought in my colleague Mandy Mandakni to support Raika and Sam to make the film. And the girls there did a Kickstarter campaign for $40,000, and they raised the $40,000, which formed the initial part of the shoot. And as Sikhya, we of course, were a part of putting it together for for the love of the girls. It was not any commercial conversation, and that's how actually the film got made. And the whole idea was to cover the journey of donation and setting up of one pad machine. And if we can make a point that this is how it impacts and it can start a self-reliant village, then maybe this audiovisual can help us raise more money. And it was, I would say, the brainchild of the English teacher of the school, Melissa Burton, and she was the backbone behind this for years. Because this is not like, with clarity you wake up tomorrow morning and you know that you're making a film. It took years to come to this point of actually raising money, of finding a producer in India, of putting together a story and then editing it. And the ambition really was to be able to fundraise. And then awards happened and festivals happened, which totally came as rewards for the journey. And Netflix took the film, which and put it up on the world for 190 countries, and we got so much love globally on that journey. And of course, the Academy championed it, gave it the Oscar, which really broke the taboo. And we saw young girls around the world saying, we will raise money and we will donate more pad machines. So kind of, I think it is a journey of one girl empowering the other, from all the way to LA to Hapur to even me, in Bombay. So that was my little amazing journey with a bunch of Wonder Women, with a bunch of teenage Wonder Women across the border. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, for the interest of our viewers and listeners, can you also tell the name of the movie and they can watch it on Netflix?
Period, End of Sentence. So we made Period, End of Sentence, directed by Raika Zatapshi. It's on Netflix, and it's a Netflix original. And it's there in 190 countries. And it's also on YouTube now, Netflix YouTube.
Yeah. So a great watch for the people. Well, I would recommend that people go and watch it. With that, back to you, Stefan.
Oh, it's really terrific. It's a story on its own, so you can make a film out of that own film. It's really, it's great to listen to that. Guneet, coming from that story, maybe to a more normal life of a producer, can you tell our audience how a producer's life looks like? So, for example, during the pandemic, I guess you read scripts, you work with writers on scripts, but maybe the audience has no idea what a producer do the whole day. So maybe you can give them more insight in your work.
Yeah, but it's a little bit more than just counting the money, right?
Yeah, it's never about counting the money.
I was just kidding. Yeah.
Actually, I've always told my producing partner, Achin, and I say this very often, Achin and I worked together for 12 years and plus, and we set up Sikhya together. And I always say this to him that, there should be a camera following me, because my life is a sitcom. On day-to-day basis, my life is a total sitcom. the kind of disasters that happen on daily basis, and how we manage to come out of it and still survive and still have a company, still, have and stay inspired to tell all the stories. It's damn dramatic, to tell you the least. It's not easy. It's very entrepreneurial. On daily basis, you're challenged. So some days you don't really believe in the story that you get a feedback from somebody that this is bullshit, and you've been working on it for over a year, and your dream entire thing comes falling down, or you just suddenly have this tax to pay because there's so many tax systems, and then you're like, okay, how do we pay salaries? And then like a gig comes along, like something comes along, so I would say that there has been a hand of divine to let us run the company, and of course our hard work, of course, but it's very funny. I have now learned to step away and see the humor of running an independent production house, and over the years now life gets easy, but it's very tough. So of course reading scripts, of course talking to writers, directors, and of course talking to studios, pitching, and trying to close a deal. Also being people have all these questions that, oh, you make only international films, or you make only dark and depressing films, and I'm like, no, my favorite film is Yash Raj films, so people are usually like, what are you saying? So yeah. So I'm a Shah Rukh Khan fan who's come into Bombay, and I've learned a lot from my partnership with Anurag Kashyap, and I worked with him and for him for 5 years, and that's where I learned a lot, and that was after Salam India and Das Vidania. So I was able to make from Yellow Boots to, I would say, Shaitan, Shahid, Gangs of Wasseypur, and a lot of movies with him that we were able to put out, and even Monsoon Shootout, even Lunchbox, or Haramkhor, or Peddlers, and then somewhere around that time, 5 years ago, I was like, okay, I want to now set up my own company, and Anurag went on to form another, and I went on to form another. But, day to day, it's not as romantic, it's dramatic, so that's what I would say.
It's a film on itself.
It is, totally.
Yeah. Guneet, I have one more question. In one of these panel discussions during Corona pandemic, I heard a discussion between, so you have been on the panel, Anurag has been on the panel, and you talked about the distribution business in India.
Yes.
It was about that either you or Anurag said that after a girl in Yellow Boots, the distribution somehow something changed. So before that, it was possible to have also releases for smaller films, as I got it right. And after that film, it became much harder with a small film to get a decent release in India. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And also, what is your future perspective? Will there be a change? Will there be some action by the government, or what will happen?
So what we were trying to say that during Yellow Boots, it was easier to distribute films because the marketing costs. And the marketing costs have substantially increased for Hindi language films that made it difficult to put independent films on cinemas. I mean, at some point of time, you could, put a film out there in less than $100,000. And now it's almost like anywhere from 700,000 to $1 million is just good enough. So that kind of really changed the dynamics in the country of trying to put independent films. I mean, this is not something. So the star level, the big star cast movies became more viable for the cinemas, and not the independent films. And that was a clear shift that happened. And with marketing costs increasing, the burden of putting films out there got very, very tough. At least the films that we were putting together at that point of time. And at that point of time, it was not the world of Netflix and Amazon in India. So
what does it mean to your work? So there is no perspective for doing a film for the big screen. So you're focusing on producing for Netflix yourself now, or for Netflix and all the other OTT platforms, or
No,
what's
so
your perspective?
this story that I was sharing was back in 2012, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now I just partnered with this incredible actor, Surya, a superstar Surya from down south, and we just made a movie which is going to come out. And we're making a bunch of Hindi films which are also in the pipeline to be announced. So it's about understanding the business and about being able to cast it in a way, because when we put Monsoon Shootout together, or when we put That Girl in Yellow Boots, the pressure of casting somebody bigger was not there. It was just about making a good film, and it was about making a first time director movie, with so many of the films that we put together. But over a period of time, one has to now understand that if you have to go to cinemas, you need a bigger star cast to be able to draw people in and to be able to justify the distribution costs. And distribution costs are much lesser in all the regional films. It's contained. There is a union-based system. It's just that there is no such system in Hindi language, and that is why we suffer so much. But even if you're doing a Tamil film, or if you're doing a Marathi film, or a Punjabi film, or a Bengali film, or a Telugu film, your marketing costs are not high. They're very manageable for movies, and it still allows people to do cooler, newer stuff, and not just you don't have to do a certain kind of stuff, or just certain kind of filmmaking or storytelling. You can't really be very innovative.
But that's the space Netflix jumped in, or isn't it? So because they are looking.
I think for independent filmmakers, Netflix and Amazon are a huge boom. With Z5, with the digital boom that's happened in India, where you see, platforms have grown 500%, like YouTube grew 500%, just because of the digital boom, because the wires are laid out and there's a high-speed internet. So that led to more players also coming to India and seeing Indian market as substantial, and also a shift that happened in the Indian market for people to pay for content. And now that it's more settled, India is a huge market, and it's only growing. And Netflix and Amazon, and especially in the lockdown, they've incredibly increased.
Of all the films you have made in your career, is there, besides the films we were already talking about, one film where you said that is, okay, I don't want to make up a ranking list, but is there one film where you said there's a special story you want to share, or?
Yeah, one of my favorite films in my journey is Peddlers. And Peddlers is because we were few friends, very close friends, and it was me, on a journey from my point of view, it was me on a journey with my best friends, putting together a movie, and we crowdfunded. And Vasan did an amazing job of shooting the film with so many constraints. And Prerna was the editor. Siddharth Diwan was the DOP, and both Siddharth, Prerna, and I have been to school and college together. So it really was a film that's really, really close to me. It really is a film that's very, very close to me. And that journey is sacred and very special for me. And then, beyond our expectations, it was selected in Cannes, and it was the first one to happen in our lives in 2012. With Gangs of Wasseypur. So while Gangs of Wasseypur was, something that, Anurag was leading in putting that together, and of course producing, writing, directing it, Peddlers was our own venture, on the side, our side hustle. So Peddlers is something really, really special. Unfortunately, it's still not released, and we do hope that very soon we're able to put it out there. It's been 8 years, and the love for the film and the people only keeps growing. So that is one of my most special journey.
Yeah, and I have seen it in Cannes, so it's a brilliant movie. So okay, but you're on it, and we will hear something soon.
Yes,
where we can see it. That is great news.
yeah,
Raman.
Yeah. So, I mean, you just mentioned it well. You were talking about the life of a producer. You
yeah,
mentioned a lot of hustles that have to go through. And I mean, it reminded me of one thing that I read somewhere before. It says the more hard work you put in, the more luckier you become. And the
yeah,
things start happening for you. So it kind of reminded me that. Having said that, I mean, Sikya Entertainment, your production company that you started and you are the founder of it. We have many young founders and entrepreneurs who listen to and watch our videos here. Any key message from you as an entrepreneur for them?
just show up. Don't question, don't judge so much. Just show up every day. You will feel like day to day you're not moving or making enough progress. At the end of the week, you'll be like, oh, another week is just gone. But at the end of maybe a quarter, something will move. At the end of the year, you'll think like, oh, I did so much in this year. And I look back at the end of the decade and I feel like I moved a mountain. But it is just about showing up. We judge ourselves, we put ourselves down. I've been there. We have to learn to champion each other. All the journeys are hard, so I feel like just show up. Don't judge the process so much, and something will work. Just, nothing is overnight. When people asked me after period end of sentence, oh my god, your film did win Oscar, and your life has changed, and I was like, no, I'm still coming back on economy class from LA to Bombay, and I still hope that my films get financed. So I think a life of an entrepreneur, there's always inflection points. There is always points like you have more things to talk about and you pick up credibility on the way, you pick up validation on the way, but have some insane amount of self-faith and keep going on.
Yeah.
It
No,
all adds up. Nothing goes waste.
I agree, and I think that's a very valuable message there, because not every day is taking you up there. Some days are also taking you down, but
Yes.
the next day you never know, might take you back up again. So
Yeah.
as you said, show up. Yeah. No, thank you
Yeah.
for that key message there.
Thank you. And also it's really not overnight. Nobody's an overnight success.
Yeah.
For that one overnight, there is 10 years of blood and sweat and.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, there is an inflection point that comes, which becomes visible, and people think, oh, it just happened like that. But there's a
Yeah,
lot of hard work with which you actually reach that point from where it turns around. So yeah, just be there and keep going. That's
absolutely.
that I get. Thank you. Guneet, would you like to share with us some plans about your upcoming films or any plans of coming to Germany soon?
Let the world just open up. I hope the world. I hope the world just opens up and we can travel again. In fact, I was just telling again, Achin, my producing partner, that I think after this is over, we just need like a vacation, and maybe Europe. So yeah, I'd
Yeah,
love to.
for sure. And anything about your upcoming films or any projects?
Yeah, we just finished a movie called Paglet with Sanya Malhotra in Hindi language, and we've also finished a movie called Surya Rai Potru in Tamil with the superstar Surya, and both of them would be coming out soon. And do watch out for peddlers.
Yeah.
Okay, Gunnar, we definitely will do. It was a great talk. Thank you so much for taking
Thank
your
you.
time. Yeah,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
yeah, all the best for you. Go beyond boundaries as you has done before. And please share this link so we can present it
Yeah,
to our audience. Yeah,
I,
so that they can also watch this wonderful short ad film. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Gunit.
thank you.
And I mean, from my side also, thank you, Guneet, for taking out the time.
Thank you,
And it
Stefan.
was really a pleasure talking to you.
Thank
And
you, Roman. It's really, really pleasure. And in these times to talk to people, it helps us stay inspired. So yeah, I hope the same for you. Stay inspired.
definitely. And please, if the world opens up, do come to Germany. So you're invited to Berlin and present your work at Indo-German Films or Indo-German Film Week. We would be more than proud to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, and I hope to see you soon.